Okay, what's up guys, Swag here, and today I'm going to be talking about Shadical's recent response to the allegations that were made about him 2 years ago. So yeah, I'm going to be basically talking about how in this video, he didn't really debunk anything. So yeah, it's kind of sad to see people welcoming back after what he did. It kind of reminds me of like Anime Bromi. So Shadical basically says that at the beginning of the video that the audio leak that was, leaked about him was actually taken out of context, which doesn't sound believable, but alright. He then addresses the part where he says that he forced Sarah to have sex with him, which was his girlfriend at the time.
Getting into the main claim of what I said where I forced myself on my girlfriend while she was drinking, pretty much what I need to say above all else is that that is absolutely factually untrue because I've never ever met my girlfriend in person and I've never done anything with another woman and forced them to do anything physically that they were uncomfortable with. Additionally, I'd also like to add that number one, my girlfriend at no point was ever underage, and number two, the fact that up until even today, I still do not know what my girlfriend looks like. Therefore, it would have been factually impossible for me to even meet her in the first place because I have still never seen a picture of her.
Now, this part just doesn't make any sense because Shadical didn't say that, in the audio clip at least, he didn't say that he forced himself on his girlfriend. He said specifically in his words that he would force his girlfriend to have sex with him.
When Sarah was under the influence of, when she was drinking, sometimes I'd force her to have sex with me.
And not to mention, Shadical tweeted on Christmas Eve, I think of 2020, saying that he did something unforgivable and that he hopes Sarah, who was his girlfriend at the time, can ever forgive him for this because he, did something very unforgivable. So I think they did meet up in person. I think Shadical did what he said he did in the audio clips because I don't know why Shadical would say that. I don't see how it can be taken out of context or anything like that.
Regarding the second part of the audio where you can hear me saying something along the lines of me being reckless with people who are underage and that there were fans involved and that I had pictures on my phone, what I have to say in response to that is that nobody that I ever engaged with online had a bigger age gap than 3 years maximum, if there was an age gap at all, which usually there wasn't. There was only one fan that I spoke to, and that fan was 17 turning 18 when I was 20 years old. I blew up on YouTube at around October of 2018, and then I stopped uploading at around March of 2021. That would have made me at the youngest when I had a platform at 19 years old, and then the oldest at 21. However, I met my girlfriend when I was roughly 21 years old, and then I was pretty much single from when I was 19 up until 20. Now, at the time, I believe that any age gap that I had really wasn't that big of a deal, and it was negligible. However, now, obviously, I realize that that's completely not the case. However, at the time, my reasoning for this, which is not an excuse that I'd like to mention, would be the fact that I knew people personally that had a similar age gap, being 20 and 17, similar age gaps along those lines in my real life, and then also online. I didn't think it was that big of a deal considering the fact that I was a very young adult versus someone who was just about to turn 18. I didn't see it as that big of a deal because of that. And obviously, while that isn't an excuse, my actions are indefensible considering that I had a platform. That being said, it should have fallen onto me, the older person, to understand the dynamic there. And even though that obviously now I would never do anything similar to that, I should have known better at the time, and I understand that now. Bringing this into context now with the audio in mind, you can hear that if you have heard it, I'm pretty much borderline in tears. I'm about to cry, and the reason for that being because it was expressed to me at this point for the first time that having a dynamic like that was not appropriate, and it was something that I could get in serious trouble over, regardless of how close the other person is to turning 18. Throughout that entire call, pretty much from the beginning to the end of it, after it had been made apparent to me that, again, I had made a huge mistake, I kind of mentally checked out throughout the entire thing. I was agreeing to things. I remember very clearly I agreed to things that just straight up never happened or agreed to the worst possible versions of what had actually happened just to kind of get my girlfriend at the time off my back because, again, she wanted this to be rectified. She thought I needed help at the time, which very well, I did need help for multiple different things. However, what's important to note is that during this entire call that was done, however much of it was recorded or not, I agreed to many different falsehoods, many different things that, if made public, I could pretty much disprove or at the very least clarify as I have with this. However, What I am doing in this video is to just clarify what is public.
Okay, so a lot to unpack there. I mean, Shadical says that his actions were inexcusable and undefensible, yet tries to defend it or justify it somehow by saying, I know he said it was no excuse, but Jesus, man, like, he didn't think it was a big deal. The age gaps, really, man. I mean, in the audio, he said he, asked for, he got a fan involved at one point, and it was about underage girls and getting pictures of underage girls and being reckless with them, and he got a fan involved, and he had pictures on his phone. Now, he said feet pics were included, not in the audio, the original audio, but he says it in the parentheses of his response. So I don't know if that was just it, but if he received any nude photos from this underage fan, who knows? He also says that in the call that he agreed to stuff that never actually happened, stuff that was public, with the allegations. So I am guessing he's saying that he agreed that he was a rapist, even just to get his girlfriend off his back, which doesn't seem to be the case, because in the audio, you can hear no one else talking except for Shadical. Shadical's openly saying, at one point, I'm trying to think, when Sarah was under the influence, sometimes I'd force her to have sex with me. Like, he's openly saying this by himself. It's not like people are saying, all right, and you force Sarah to have sex with her, right? And then Shadical's like, yep, I did that. No, Shadical was openly admitting to it, not just agreeing blatantly without listening. He was openly admitting to it. Now, for the next thing, he talks about past allegations with fans back when he was like 17 and the fans were like 15 to 16, and one of them, he was 15. One of them, he basically proved the points, and I'll give that one to Shadical. He did a good job explaining these points, and he did pretty good with this one, so I'll give him that one.
If it isn't already obvious already, this isn't like a video to like try to win people's like trust back or like their forgiveness. I did the mistakes that I made. I own my own mistakes. That is on me as a person, and I will always own that. And this will probably follow me for, the rest of my life, or at least a good portion of it. And that's completely fine. I own that because that's honestly the best thing I can do in this situation. It's taken me a long time to kind of realize that, but I'm at that position now. And for the people who are wondering maybe why I've been gone for so long, obviously being put in this situation in the first place was a huge wake-up call to maybe go out and get offline, because I was terminally online for a while, to, just kind of get out there and, touch some grass, do things that normal 21-year-olds do that don't have YouTube channels. And so that's what I was out doing. Honestly, I am ready to return to YouTube now, as I mentioned, and I'm pretty excited about it. Honestly, I have some stuff planned. Also, for the record, I just want to say that I was always going to respond to this. I was never going to just leave and never come back. I'm not like that. That just goes against who I am. In general, but to be honest with you, this was really hard to do, and I didn't want to ever do it until the fact that I knew that I was mentally ready to do this and to get it over with and to just address it all at once. Had I addressed it just before I left or during that period, even up until, a few months ago, I probably would have botched this entire thing completely, and I wouldn't have given you guys the response that you guys deserve. That in combination with the severity of everything, I decided to, again, take a really big step back from everything and to just focus on getting better, focus on getting therapy and growing as a person, and I do feel like I'm at that point now where I genuinely am happy with who I am, and I just want to come back and do this again.
So, yeah, Shadical says that this video is not to win people's trust back, which is kind of weird, because if I was being accused of such horrendous things and then claiming that it's all out of context and it's not true, I would want to win people's trusts back. But, yeah, his response reminds me so much of Anime Bromy, him saying that he was mentally not ready to make this video, and that, the allegations made him, realized that it was a wake-up call for him to get off the internet. It's like, I don't know, man. It just, the response doesn't seem good. But yeah, that's basically it. Shadical, planning to return to YouTube. I still think that he's, he most likely raped his girlfriend. I mean, I know that's a serious accusation, but he flat out admitted it in an audio call, and it's him saying it's out of context. It seems like bullshit to me. I mean, a lot of stuff adds up pointing towards that he did do that. And, I mean, again, like Anime Baromi claiming that he never met his girlfriend in person, it was only online. But there's proof to make it seem like that they were actually there in person.